Hi there. So you've caught us bogging off in the bush again and not doing any work. Well, maybe not. We're out here celebrating Sydney's birthday. I'm not going to ask him how old he is, but Sid, hey, massive, fantastic returns.
Thank you.
This is going to be a video about how we set up our master slides for PowerPoint so we can get the best effects. Don't worry about all the helicopter stuff, doing it outside, etc. We're doing it all in the studio. But what we want to do is that we want to set up the master slides correct to get the best effects. Follow me now and see how we go. Hi everybody, I'm back in the studio now. Here's what I've found about the NetBank master slides and everything else. What we're going to do is just run through it and see what we can come up with. You see the first slide has got a very nice contrast to it. That makes it very readable and easy for everybody to work with. If we go to using a white background, what we're going to find is that it gets very tricky, and particularly when we try to put people like me into the picture, the chroma key function doesn't work so well. There's going to be a lot more editing in it, etc. Other changes that I've made to the master slide, in going back to the black one, I've enlarged. Here's what I've found about the NetBank master slides and everything else. What we're going to do is just run through it and see what we can come up with. You see the first slide has got a very nice contrast to it. That makes it very readable and easy for everybody to work with. If we go to using a white background, what we're going to find is that it gets very tricky, and particularly when we try to put people like me into the picture, the chroma key function doesn't work so well. There's going to be a lot more editing in it, etc. Other changes that I've made to the master slide, in going back to the black one, I've enlarged the branding at the bottom of the page. I hope that in the previous one we would see that it was too small and it was coming out very grainy. There is the space to do that. I've dressed the master slide to the left-hand side of it, of the whole total slide package. Remember, please, we are working in 16:9 so that we get the wider image which fits in with YouTube and everything else. If we use the 4:3 PowerPoint slide, which many lecturers do, unfortunately you'll see that there are a whole lot of problems with it in the processing of video. So it has to be in 16:9, and fortunately that helps us. Right, so let's put in some other tips on this thing. We say allow the font to be as big as possible on the slide, and so what we're trying to do is to make it readable. Then we have to try and watch out for death by PowerPoint. My great concern in this project is that people will get the same feel all the time. They'll get bored, they'll go somewhere else. So you have to keep the screen moving. What you do for this is that you go into custom animation and you just animate it so that each point comes up click by click, and that will make it a lot easier for you when you are shooting in the studio. So we go rhubarb, 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 rhubarb right through our presentation, and then the question comes up, what if you are like Letitia and you like to put a hell of a lot of stuff onto one PowerPoint slide? Sorry, Letitia. And the answer to that is you can use the whole slide. If you use the whole slide, all we're going to do is take the presenter out for that bit. We'll remove the video and leave the soundtrack in. So you can use the whole slide. But understand that the people who are going to use this are mainly going to be doing it on telephone and tablet device. Now that is going to be a problem if you get too much on the screen. Sometimes it's unavoidable. So the solution to that is to use PowerPoint again and pick up a pointer and use custom animation again. Enter the pointer, next click takes the pointer out, next click puts another pointer in. And so that just runs around your page to show you where you are on your screen. And that way you can keep everybody amused as you go along. Again, it keeps the screen moving and it helps a lot. Right. So now let's look at the video capture of the lecturers. This is not yet the final product. We're still shooting from Kenton. We haven't gone to Booknest yet. But there are a few things that I've got in mind for this. the lecture captures must be in studio. We're not experienced enough to start doing this stuff outside of studio yet, and there are enormous production problems if we do that. So the idea is that we're going to do it in a sterile environment so that post-production is kept to the absolute minimum. You will have access to your notes. They will be on a projector behind the camera. You'll be able to see them. You will be able to see them completely, no impact there, so you will be lecturing just the same as if you were in a classroom. There can be a lot of production difficulties. You might have heard my dogs howling in the background just now as the latest Farley walks past with his stupkaka, and they cause trouble, but we won't have that in Bookness. That's another reason to have Bookness, is quite simply we don't want any external influences on what we are doing. We'll have a soundproof studio for that. Then we've got to look at ways that we can make this more interesting. Now, I've been experimenting with this, and it's easier than one thinks. Right now we're using a completely black background, but what we can do is make natural scenes, either in the form of taking pictures. In the background here you've got the beach at Bookness, and it gives the effect that we are doing a beach lecture. Or we can go to the bush, or we can take video material of scenes at Rhodes University. They just play in the background. What they're doing more than anything else is that they're keeping the screen moving, and keeping the screen moving makes it a lot easier. There are some other ideas that I think we should work on. I don't think that they're difficult. I think they're quite easy to achieve. Here's one of them, for example, with me. My hair's always a bit vuga-vuga. That creates a post-production problem. So what we do is we put a cap on it, and that makes it all a little bit easier, and that takes chrome dome, hairstyles, and everything else out of play. It also keeps the floodlights in the lecture room out of your eyes and makes it easier to lecture. And you can even go further than that we can make it into a total outside scene where we put on a pair of dark glasses. Now, that might just sound like being funny. Actually, it makes it a whole lot easier because we don't have a problem with eye contact. Obviously, while you are following your notes, your eyes are going to move around, possibly make you look a bit squint. We can't use teleprompters. They don't do diagrams. So maybe we can look at that. All of these little ideas and bits and pieces, I hope we're going to be able to put in at the end of the day. Anyway, that's how we go off for starters. Let's see how we go from there.